and welcome to Reality Tea Times 2. We're actually going to be doing a bonus for Next Take podcast. So Merry Christmas, everybody. I know right now I'm actually not giving you more recent content, but you have been getting stuff throughout. So this is one of those episodes that you're getting, which is usually our bonus episode, but that's what we're going to be giving you here. So as a treat, because these episodes are a little longer, as a treat, I'm going to be giving you a little extra of the episodes each. So you should be having a pretty lengthy episode for each. So what we're going to be doing is giving you a look into what our Christmas series is for Next Week Podcast for this year. So what I'm going to be giving you, first of all, I'll say this now right here. I'm going to be giving you 2 different episodes, a little longer. I'm thinking about 20-ish minutes each. Kind of just giving you the formatting of it. I'm not going to give you the bah humbug aspects of some of the episodes that I have for you, but we'll have some fun with this. I'm going to give you about roughly 20 minutes of each of the episodes. So what we kind of did here, very similarly to what we did with our Halloween series, is we were doing Christmas movies. So the movies that we did was Elf, Santa Claus, first one only, and then we did Home Alone 1 and 2 as our third episode of our Christmas series. So that's what we did there. So what we'll kind of be doing, what you can kind of expect to get is a 20-minute snippet of Elf and a 20-minute snippet of the Home Alone 1/2, which will be 10 minutes of each movie. So that's what we'll be kind of giving you with that. If you are interested, of course, of hearing the full episode, there will be links in the show notes for each Elf, Santa Claus, and Home Alone 1 and 2. So you can definitely go and listen to the other, the Santa Claus, which is not included in this episode, but you can go listen to Santa Claus, which we had a lot of fun with, and then you can listen to the full episode of Elf and Home Alone 1 and 2. So that's what we kind of did with Christmas, but that will basically, that's the end of our Next Take podcast. We'll kind of get back into a new year, a new situation and everything. So with that being said, though, I hope everyone enjoys their Christmas. You're getting this on Christmas Eve. So I hope everyone enjoys their Christmas, enjoys New Year's. I mean, you'll hear from me either way. But I hope everyone enjoys their Christmas. I hope everyone has a safe Christmas. I hope everyone has great vacation if you're getting it, or, have a great time with your family, friends, loved ones. Just a great holiday for the people who celebrate Christmas. And again, thank you so much for your support. There's so much going to be coming in the new year that I haven't really mentioned yet. I'm kind of leaving it under wraps, but I'm pretty confident of what I'm going to be stepping into with the new year coming. So that's basically that. But again, without further ado, if you want to hear more of the Next Take episodes for the Christmas series, in the show notes will be the links to each episode. But here we go. The first one you're going to be getting is 20 minutes of Elf, and then you'll get 20 minutes of Home Alone 1/2. And then that's it for me. Again, Merry Christmas, everybody. Love you all. Thank you so much for everything. And we will talk again very soon. His reception's desk or his secretary, I'm not sure what she does. And he's like, I'm here to see Walter Hobbs. And she's like, oh my God, look at you. Where'd you come from? He's like, the North Pole. The North Pole. Yeah, Santa sent me. Santa sent me. He's like, so then she says, or she does the intercom, and she's like, I think someone sent you a Christmas gram. So the door opens and he just yells, Dad. And he's like, okay, so, get on with it. He's like, Donald, what? Usually you sing a song, so he's like, oh, okay, sure. So he was singing a song, and he's like, I can't remember every word that he said, but he kind of goes through, my mom was pregnant, you didn't know, blah, blah, blah. You're my dad, but I'm here now, daddy. And guess what? I love you, I love you, I love you.
Yeah.
And Walter's like, okay, that was weird. And then Buddy says, Susan Wells had me. He says the name Susan Wells, and you can tell that's clicked to memory for him. And he's like, who sent you? And he's like, I can't remember if he said Papa Elf or Santa, someone sent him, right? And he says to Deborah, who's his secretary, I think we need to call security on it. He's like, Alex, there was too. So they kick him out, security. And they're like, he's like, oh, don't worry about it. Walter's my dad. And he's like, oh, you're not going to be coming back here for a while. And they're like, yeah, go back to Gimbals. And that's when we find out they're about the store Gimbals in just a minute. So he's walking across the street, going to this mall or a department store. Mm-hmm. And he's walking, minding his own business. And then he gets hit by a taxi. He just gets hit by this taxi. And he gets back up though. And he's like, sorry. And then he just goes into the department store. The first stop in the department store was, would you like to try a fruit passion? I think it was mist. And he's like, sure. And then he sprays the inside of his mouth, y'all. As we know, it's body spray. It's not food. And he sprays it in his mouth, and he's just like, and then I think the other thing that I don't think anything else happened at that point, but then he goes to the escalator, and obviously he's a little terrified of the escalator. You know what? Sometimes so am I. It's fine. But he goes to the escalator, and he's intimidated by the escalator that he won't go up, and he's telling other people to go before him. But then there's this group of people who are like, oh, no, please go ahead, because they want to see the show. So he basically puts one foot on one stair, and then the thing's just going up, and he's literally doing the splits going up the escalator because he's scared. He goes to the bathroom, and he goes up and peers down another person's stall, and he's like, have you seen these toilets? They're ginormous. So funny. And then he's looking at lingerie. Of course he doesn't know it's lingerie, but he's looking at lingerie, Christmas themed lingerie, and basically it just has this little note that says for someone special. Okay. File that away for later. So then we see this guy, this black guy, yelling or trying to get his attention and say, get over here. And he's like, me? And he goes over to him, and he's like, shop on your break. He's like, get back upstairs. He's like, are you mad at me? No, I'm not mad at you. Like, yeah. So they think that he works with Gimbals because they are elves currently at the moment. So they're kind of going back and forth, and he says something, I can't remember exactly what he said to the guy, but he's like that the boss, he's the boss of the manager of the store, and he's like, why do you smile like that? He's like, I like to smile. He's like, make work your favorite, okay? Work's your new favorite. And he's like, it's time for announcements. So he says, I don't know exactly what time he said, 9 o'clock, because I say 9 o'clock. Like, 9 o'clock, Santa's gonna be here. And then all you hear are buddies being like, Santa! Oh my God! I know him. I know him.
Santa! Oh my God! Santa here? I know him. I know him.
And then he's like, hold on to he's staring at him like, hold on to your receipts or whatever the hell he says. And he's just staring at him like, someday ride with you. It was one of something we all, as people who love elf, will still say. Because I do. I will still scream it sometimes. Just be like, Santa! I know him. But anyways, that encounter ends. And then he looks over in the distance and he sees this girl, decorating a Christmas tree. Her name is Jovi. And no, not Jovi from 90 Day Fiance. Jovi with an E. And he sees her and he goes over to her. He's watching her and she's like, do you like the view? She doesn't have any time for this. She doesn't have time for any of his nonsense. And he's like, I love the way you decorate that Christmas tree. And she's like, why are you messing with me? And he's like, I'm not messing with you. I just like seeing someone, have the same passion for Christmas the way that I do, or Christmas decoration, or whatever the hell he said. And she's giving him nothing but attitude because she doesn't want to deal with him. And he's like, oh, clearly someone, is a little grumpy. Maybe, we could sing. And, because again, breastfed is for Christmas cheer, singing. And she's like, get away from me. She's not anything to do with this. And he's like, do you not know how to sing? She's like, I know how to sing. I just choose not to. And she's like, you'd rather sing in private than in front of people. And he's like, well, if you can sing to yourself, you can sing in front of people. There's really no difference. There is a difference. There is very much a difference. And he's like, no, there isn't. See, look, I'll show you. Then he's starts singing, and he's singing this little tune. It's like, I'm in a store, and I'm singing. I'm in a store, and I'm singing. And then here comes the manager being like, hey, there's no singing in the North Pole. Yes, there is. There's no singing in the North Pole. Yes, there is. No, there's not. Yes, no, there's not. He's like, yes, there is. We do it all the time. He's just fighting with everybody on what you do in the North Pole. Anyway, that's basically the end of that. Because the store is now shut down, he's going to be in the store getting it ready for Santa. We see him doing all kinds of different things, doing light brights and train sets and etch-a-sketches, and he's doing the whole bit. He's so excited for Santa that he's doing all of this. Meanwhile, very quickly, we go to Walter, and he's going home, or he is home, and we see he has a wife and a son, and he's like, I'm gonna go eat in the bedroom. I have some work I gotta do. And clearly, he doesn't spend a lot of time with his family, because his son's like, well, if he can do it, I can do it. But that doesn't fly. But he's absolutely not working. He rolls into his room, and he brings up an old picture of him and Susan Wells. So, if anyone hasn't caught on, Susan Wells was definitely a girlfriend that he had in college, and I think they were in love. We don't really ever find out what happened. Maybe it's just college. Sometimes those things don't last and whatever. But, yeah. So we're seeing definitely a possibility here that this is his son, right? But that's kind of that. Late over the next day, the store is all pretty, ready for Santa, and he hears singing in the distance. And he follows the singing into the ladies' locker room, where Jovi is currently singing a Christmas song. Baby's Cold Outside, I think is what she was singing. And he's like singing along with her very quietly. She doesn't know he's there. But then when they get to the part of Baby, it's cold out, he's like belting it. And she's like, what? And she looks out, he's showering. And she looks out the shower and she's like, Cal, don't look at me. And he runs out with his eyes closed and runs into a wall. And then we see him sleeping in a display case. And then while he's in the display case, he sees his dad and he's like, Dad, it's me. It's Buddy. He's like, he really wants to see his dad. He tries to give a gift to his dad, but he's caught by the security guards. But they do give the gift to Walter. We'll get back to that. Because I think the next scene was the managers going into the store and saying all the stuff and being like in awe of everything he was saying. Or stressed, who knows. But he not quite yet. So Buddy, he's just kind of around and Jovi sees him and she's like, hey you, come here. And she's like, why were you in the women's locker room? And he's like, I heard you singing. And she's like, that has nothing to do with the fact that I was naked in the shower. It's like, I didn't know you were naked in the shower. He really did not know she was naked in the shower.
Yeah.
If this was anybody else, it'd be problematic. But then the manager comes and he's like freaking out about all the decorations, thinking corporate wants his job or something, and he's like, whatever. And then he just yells to Jovi, 6 inches, 6-inch ribbon. And she said, that's impossible. And he's like, 6 inches. Anyway, then the best part, Santa's here. And Buddy's out there with the kids being all excited that Santa's here. And he goes up to Santa and he's like, wait a minute, you're not Santa. And he's like, well, of course I'm Santa. And he's like, well, if you're a Santa, but what song did I sing you on your birthday this year? Happy birthday. Duh. And he says to the kid that's on Santa's lap currently, don't tell him anything, he's an imposter. And he's like, the kid talk. Like Santa's getting mad. And he says, you smell like mushrooms. And what was the other thing he said? I can't remember what the other thing he said, but he says you smell like mushrooms and something else.
Yeah.
And then he pulls the beard off of Santa, not realizing it's a fake beard, and gets completely freaked out. Santa starts attacking Buddy at this point. The fight is everywhere. But then he just like, that's not Santa. That's not Santa. He got arrested. Yeah, he got arrested. Mm-hmm. So with Walter now, he gets the gift. Mm-hmm. And he says for someone special. And he opens the box and there's a little card in there that Buddy did by hand. And then he pulls back the tissue paper, and he's like, the look on his face is like, what can I do with this? And he pulls out the lingerie, and it's the same Christmas themed lingerie that he saw in the department store. And Deborah comes in and she's like, what's that? And he's like, intercom. So she goes back to the intercom and tells him that the police are on line 1. And he's like, what? And that's where he finds out that his elf son has been arrested. And he bails him out. And, you know, he kind of shoves him against the wall because he's frustrated with Buddy. But then he decides, you know what? Let's go to the doctor. Let's do a DNA test. So this is where we see John Favreau, the only
Yeah.
thing we see him in. And he's the doctor. Before he walks in, though, Buddy's out here eating cotton balls. He's just stuffing them in his mouth. And Walter's like, stop that. And he tries to stop him, and he does like a magic trick and still eats the cotton ball. Not great. But anyways, doctor comes in and says, we're gonna do a little finger prick. And he's like, ooh, what's a finger prick? That sounds fun. And he's like, can I look through your necklace? He's like, no. And he's like shifty, and he's like, why am I sitting on paper? Because it's sterile. And the doctor's getting frustrated. He's like, Walter, seriously. And he's like, kid, seriously, just sit still, let him prick your finger. And he literally stabs his finger.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you watch him take the pin and like the needle and stabs him in the freaking finger, and he's like, he screams because he was not expecting that. He's like, again, he says, I'm going to give you three seconds to, count of three to get out. And they do the count of three, and then the gunshots start, and they just are on the floor, covering their heads. You have other guests peeking their heads out of the hotel rooms because they hear it, because it's loud. And when it's over, it's like, stay in your rooms. There's a deranged guest with a gun. And they're just like crawling on the floor. But he gets outside to the back, and of course, Harry and Marv are there waiting for him. Harry with his permanent M on his hand, and they are their plan is to hurt him really badly. Really, really badly. To meet the Undertaker, so to speak. And he's able to get away from them by pinching a lady's butt and making it look like it was one of them that did it. So she ends up punching them, which she actually punched Marv earlier in the movie. So she punches both of them, and he gets into Central Park, and he hides like in a horse carriage thing, and he's free that way. So I'm gonna go through this quickly, this little section.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to, so his aunt and his uncle, his dad's brother, used to live in New York. These are the same people who live in Paris. So when they went to visit them in Paris, so they are in this house, but the house is completely gutted. It's like under renovation, and no one's home. So he does that. He doesn't find anybody there. He goes back into Central Park. Central Park is not a nice place at night, especially. So he's a little spooked, and he ends up running into Pigeon Lady, who we do see. I think he saw her earlier as well, and he ran away before he got to the hotel, and he sees her again, and she has a lot of pigeons around her, and he's again screaming in her face because he sees this lady with a lot of pigeons, and his foot gets stuck, and she comes and she helps him, and he still runs away from her, but then he realizes, wait a minute, she just helped me, and he makes a friend with Pigeon Lady.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they have their moment, him and Pigeon Lady. Same similarly to the neighbor, and so yeah, he's like, I'm gonna make sure that these guys don't rob the toy store, because of course they told him the whole plan like idiots, and he's like, you can't mess with kids on Christmas, he says. So he gets into the house and he booby traps this house similarly to what he did with his own, and then he heads to the toy store to stop them. And meanwhile, while he's doing that, the family, the entire family is in New York now to find Kevin. And this is where they say, like, what kind of idiots allow a child to check in on their own? And they're like, the child was very convincing. And And Peter's like, so when you found out the credit card was stolen, and Tim Curry's like, I'm the one that made the discovery. And he's proud of himself. And Kate's like, why did you let him leave? And he's like, well, he got scared and whatever, like he ran off. And like, well, because you freaked him out, right? And like, what kind of idiots do you have working here? They're like, the finest in New York. Jesus Christ. So they kind of powwow amongst each other about her staying here, the family, him going to the police station to make sure they're looking for Kevin. And she's like, no, I'm going out there to find him. And Tim Curry's like, man, there are parasites out there. And they're like, can you mind your business, please? And he's like, as you wish. So Kate's like, no mugger would ever approach me. And she's like, if he can do it, I can do it. Like, she's, yeah. And yeah, I think this might have been where he said, like, there's parasites or whatever. And then Kate slaps him across the face. It's amazing. And he's like, do bundle up. It's quite cold outside. And he's like trying to pull back tears. So this is where we get to the fun part with Kevin and Harry and Marv. I'm going to get to my notes. But again, I wrote them all down. I was going to find where the numbers start. Okay. So they, again, are hiding in the houses again as the store is being locked up. And they come out and they're breaking into the cash registers, breaking into the chests of money. And, everyone's like, Merry Christmas, Harry. And the other's like, Happy Hanukkah, Mars. Like, they're happy. But here comes Kevin. He knocks on the window, taking a picture of them. And he gets like a rock that has like a note on it. And he's like, here we go again. Another Christmas in the trenches. And he throws the rock, which sets off the alarm. And he had like a canister that was underneath like a thing of wood. So when one stepped on it and the other one did, it made the other person fling up into the air. And I think it was Harry. Harry flung up into the air, and then
what did the brick say on the message? I don't remember. Did it say?
It was addressed to the owner, and it basically we hear the note later, and he says like, it was me that broke your window to stop the bad guys from robbing you. Do you have insurance? If not, like I'll send you some money if I ever get back to Chicago. And then he also said, P.S. Thanks for the turtle dove. So he knew who it was based on that. So that's basically what the note said. But so anyway, so they're chasing after him, getting into the house, and they get in front of the house and like, where'd he go? And he's like, up here, you big horse's ass. And he's still taking pictures of them from above the thing. And this part is amazing. This is the part for me where I'm like, this movie is so much better than the first movie. But anyway, that's just who I am as a person. So they're like, listen, Sonny, there'd be nothing that would please me more than to shoot you. But because we're in a hurry, why don't you just drop down your camera and you'll never hear from us again? And he's like, you promise? And I like, cross my heart and hope to die. And he's like, okay. Instead, he doesn't drop down the camera. He drops down bricks. And he drops one brick and it hits Marv in the head. And he falls down. And Harry's like, how many fingers am I holding up, Marv? And he's like, 8. At this point, Harry's like taunting him. Do you have any more bricks? Yes, he does. And he throws out another one. And it lands on Marv again. He's not having a good time right now. And then he's like, I'm not being faster than that, kid. And then he throws down another brick. And Marv is like, not happy. he's like, Harry, no. He's like begging at this. Listen, if this was in real life, he would have been dead after the first brick. But anyway, Harry turns to Marv and he's like, he did not know more bricks. Get up, we did not know more bricks. And he looks up and he sees Kevin holding another brick and he's freaking out, but he can't get the words out. And he's like, trying to be like, and Harry is not catching on. He's like, what? And then he turns around just as the brick is about to land on him, moves out the way, and it lands on Marv again. So amazing. And then Harry's like, get up. You go through the front, I'll go to the back. And Marv is like, Harry. Like, he's not well, bitch. He's not well. But the next thing, basically, that happens is Marv, he gets up, not very easily, but he does get up, and he goes to the front door, and he's clearly really dizzy, because he probably has a concussion, and he gets to the front door, and he's trying to open the door, but the door won't open. And he doesn't realize that there's a staple gun on the other end of the door, so he ends up stapling. He first staples his butt, then he staples his balls, and then he staples his face. And that's basically how that happened. Meanwhile, Harry is going through the back, and he is trying to like hoist himself to get onto a ladder, and then the ladder has like that goop on it, and he falls because obviously there's goop. And then some of that goop falls on top of his head. And then Marv gets into the house because he just shoves the door open. And he's like, Harry, I reached the top. And then he falls down this huge hole that's in the house. And he's like, whoa. Like later on when he comes to, he's like, what a hole. And then Harry is able to get to the top, and when he opens the door, tools fall out of his bag and land on him. So he gets hit by tools, and then Marv slips on like this green like gunk stuff. Like I don't know what this was, but he is slipping on that, and then he falls and he lands right onto like into a shelf of paint. And the whole thing just falls right on top of him. And he's completely covered in paint, like paint gone in his mouth too. It's pretty gross. And he then also gets electrocuted when he goes to try and like wash himself off. He touches the things, and he's like, Kevin's like right there too, and makes the intensity get worse and worse. And to the point where you can see his skeleton, which again, in real life, he would have been dead by now. But then he passes out from there. Harry gets his head flambéed again, and he's very terrified because he's like, he'll turn on a light switch and then he's like jumping because he doesn't know if something's going to happen. And then he goes into the bathroom and he does it again. But this time he doesn't like jump or anything. And his head gets flambéed. And he doesn't realize at first. He looks into the mirror. He's like, oh, he did it again. He did it. And he puts his head into the toilet because like there's no white water. Mm-hmm. Puts his head into the toilet. There's some sort of combustible in the toilet. And basically, Harry gets like blown up. Let's be real. But again, he survives. He would have been dead too. But anyway, Marv, I think, was able to get up onto the try to get up onto the second floor again, and he was like doing this work interruption thing, and he sees Kevin and he yells to Harry, there he is, Harry, go get him, whatever, because he can't get up. And he climbs up he's climbing up a ladder that can obviously handle his weight, and he's like, don't you know that a kid wins against two idiots? And he gets up the ladder. Harry tries to go also up the ladder with him, but the ladder can't handle Harry's weight, and he falls. And Marv is able to come up and help him. Um, so then they decide they're going to try to get upstairs because he's now up on the 3rd floor, and they're going to go after him. And I think they found like a rope or something, and they're going to climb up. But there's a whole ass staircase over there, and Kevin's like, "Why don't you use the stairs?" And they're like, "Right." But they go down the stairs. But Harry, again, is a little smart here. He's like, "Remember last time? There's probably paint cans." So they're like, "Watch this." So they pretend they're walking up the stairs, and Kevin throws a paint can, and they're like pretending like they got hit. And Marv's like, "Don't worry, Harry, I'll get him." And then he pretends to walk up the stairs, and then another paint can happens. And they're like, "That's 2. Let's get him." And then he has like this weird thing that, like this long thing, that he throws down that they did not expect. And they're like, "Uh-oh." And then they get hit by that. They also hit the cans on the way down, and they end up back into the hole again. And they're like, "That's 3." And then he cuts the rope off of that big one, and it just rolls down the stairs into the hole. And Harry's like, "No." And they're like, "That's 4." But they're able to get back up, same way that they did with Marv, on his own. And then they get upstairs, don't know exactly where he is, but he does yell out to them, and says, "I'm over here." And they go to open the door, and then they're hearing this really weird sound, and they're like, "What is that?" And they literally put their ears to the door. I'm like, you guys are so stupid. And once it's a toolkit falling down the stairs, it goes right through the door, squishes them against the wall, and they're like, I think it was Marv. He's like, "That was the sound of a toolkit falling down the stairs." Oh. And so they go upstairs to follow after him. And Kevin is downstairs, like he's climbed down. And Marv is like, "Suck brick, kid." And he throws a brick at him, but completely misses. So they're like, "Okay, we're gonna go down the rope." The rope has been soaked in kerosene, which is a combustible, which he lights it, and he's like, "Merry Christmas," and he lights the rope. And again, similar to the last movie, they're like, "Go up." But not enough time, they fall. And then I don't know how this happened, but there's like these paint cans or whatever was in those cans just also fall in the process of all this. I don't know how this happened, but anyways, and it falls on them. So anyways, Kevin runs to a payphone. He does call the police. Then he runs across the street going to Central Park, but then he slips on ice and he doesn't get up in time. They catch up to him, and they're like, "My, how the tables have turned." And they take him into Central Park, and their plan is to kill him. They're gonna kill him, because they have a gun, and they are not able to shoot the gun because the gun has that whatever gunk fell on them is the gunk that's stuck in this gun. Like they can't use it. And luckily, Pigeon Lady comes to save the day and throws bird seeds, at them and makes the pigeons attack, because she said earlier when she feeds the birds or tells Kevin to feed the birds, like she says, like, they can hear it. Which, trust me, they can not just hear it, they see. I have a bird. The bird knows when he's getting seeds, and he flips. Okay. But anyway, they go over and they're like not really attacking them, but they're just trying to get some food. But of course, it's attacking them. And so, luckily, the police find them because Kevin did fireworks. They find him and they arrest them again. And it's like, and Marv is an idiot. He tells them everything. about how they broke out of prison and this and that. And he's like, we're no longer the wet bandits, we're the sticky bandits. That's
Yeah.
ST. And he doesn't know how to keep spelling it. And the police officer's like, I. I'm like, wow. So that's basically how that turns out. Long story short, Kate is able to find Kevin. He was at the Rockefeller Center with a big Christmas tree, and that's where she found him. They go back to the hotel. They wake up to, and it's actually really interesting. I didn't mention this before. So Fuller, who's supposed to be playing Kevin's cousin in the movie, who's actually his brother in real life, the only like monologue or words that are said between them in any of these movies was in that moment in the second movie when Kevin's like, you know, Santa doesn't visit hotels or whatever. Like, that's the only time that these two brothers actually like have any sort of conversation in this movie, in these movies, I should say, both of them together. So yeah, basically they find that there's actually Christmas presents for them that was given to them by the owner of the toy store. Yeah, I mean, Kevin goes out to see Bird Lady again and gives her one of the turtle doves because he was told to give that to someone you really care about, and then he gave it to her. And meanwhile, the family is getting a really, really hefty bill from Kevin's previous stay in the Plaza Hotel, and it was like over just a little under $1,000 that he spent in at the hotel between the mini bar and everything else. And his dad freaks out, and basically how it ends. I mean, the amount of money that he spent was even a lot. Then it was a lot of money. A lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, like in today's money, well over $1,000. Probably a good $1,500, probably. A lot.
Yeah. A lot of money.
But yeah, that's basically it. That's Home Alone 1 and 2, and that's the end of our Christmas series as well.
Yeah, that's the end of the Christmas series. You can watch both these like movies at Disney Plus,
Disney Plus, yeah.
You can either buy it, rent it on YouTube. I don't know where else. I don't think Apple TV has